Alright guys, I was just going to do you a e-scooter update. Now these are the forks off of the Minimoto. So the disc mounts here. It's quite high off the ground, but these shocks are going to compress quite a bit. So if they have a ride height, they should be okay for off-roading. That's the front tyre. Well, it will be the back tyre when I get the other wheel back of Roy. So what have I done? As I said, I de-lugged it, cleaned all the lugs off that I don't want. I've left a couple on that I might be able to use for the board mounts. I've got to put a bit of tube in there, dress that in, tidy that up. So I've kept that line by trimming those off. I'm going to cap these because the lights, when they turn up, I'm going to mount down on the front here when I plate the inside. What I had was, I had some metal knocking around from I bought a new fertilizer spreader, but I only needed the bucket and the mechanism underneath, so I keep everything. So I had this metal laying around and they fit just nice. I rounded it out of there to match the tubing with the grinder. Obviously it'd be easier if I had a lovely belt sander with a round thing on the bottom. So scalloped them out, scalloped them out in here for the down tube. So I've got two supports on there because there's going to be a lot of flex on this front end. So that's nice and rigid. Focus please. So what I'm hoping is the board will fit in here. I'll be probably cutting these lugs off, and because it actually, although that dips down there, this is level with that, so I'm probably going to put a tube in here. Maybe not. So the board will run right across there, turn up. I'm going to use the top of my kid's skateboard. Don't tell him. I'm going to come down here. So there's enough room in there for the battery and the control unit. I'll put a plate in the bottom of there and plate these sides, keep the water out. So the board will go in here. I'll cut it to go around those lugs. It's got to be liftable to get the battery in and out. Cut these off, and then the motor will be mounted just underneath where the board turns up, and then we'll rig the swinging arm up for the back wheel back here. Then we'll have a mud guard kicking up on the back for me to put my foot on, and then above the wheel I want to try and rig a rack up so I can put stuff on there. But I like the way that it tapers out either side. It saved a lot of work having this frame laying around. So what I've got to try and rig up now is something that will be for the handlebar tube. So what I was thinking of doing, I might end up making a plate with the two holes to go over there, over these, and then a bracket here that will hold the handlebar tube. And I've got to figure out, I still want to try and make it foldable if I can, so I can chuck it in the back of the car. So that's I will need to look at the Vela Faro and see how theirs is. I'm sure they sell a nice beefy clamp, which is a bottom and the top clamp with a hinge on the back, and then they have those bolts with the ball bearings in the end, and you have a bracket on the front, so when you fold it up it clicks in, and then you do up a quick release bolt. So made some good headway on that. When you're grinding these out, when you're using the grinder, now that's a grinding disc. Let me, if I can show you. That's my next job. I've got to drill a hole in that. Now, you probably know, right? You can see the thickness of that is a cutting disc, and the grinding disc is easily twice as thick. Now, You should never grind with a cutter. You should never cut with a grinder. If you try and grind with a cutter and put pressure on that edge, it'll blister and fall apart. Try and always keep your guard on. The only reason I haven't got a guard on this one is because I took it off to do a repair and lost bloody screws. But I keep this grinder for the floppy pad. But you've got to be careful because that will catch and shred that edge and throw it off. So always wear eye shields and always wear gloves if you can, and ear defenders. They are the most. I could send you put a picture on here of my brother that nearly cut his fingers off not long ago, where the grinder came out of his hand, went straight across his fingers there, and nearly cut those 2 fingers off. Anyway, right, that was just a e-scooter update, so that'll be part 2. I'm gonna go. Bye.